watch at the next moment the strike. So this is kind of a space of affordances that's provided. And for me, there is something strangely parallel about this, that this is also a space that is created by this kind of possibility, this space of affordances.
Can you elaborate what do you mean by space of affordances?
Yeah, okay. That something in this terrain within the biology or within the space, as opposed to just being completely open, like modernist space, to say, okay, well, we'll make a class, anything can happen. You don't just do that. You provide certain catalytic opportunities that are there, that are already somehow embedded in the system, that are waiting for a reaction. So you provide a canopy that you know when the sun hits it, or when the rain hits it, or when the wind hits it, is going to react differently. And so the space is going to be created by that interaction once it occurs, but you don't fix that as being a rigid thing. And so if you provide many kinds of affordances, then everything transforms according to these relationships. Does that help clarify? I showed this at the conference on self-organization as part of a poster presentation. This is one of the designs I worked on. It's a design matrix as well, although I didn't know this other design matrix when I did it with my colleagues. This is dealing with various types of program, various types of locations, and various days of the week. And the way they interact creates kind of forms in the city or interventions in the city that are based upon interaction. So these are my interests in terms of being wanting to intervene in the urban environment. And again, it parallels this interest in landscape urbanism, an interest in infrastructure and flows rather than objects, an acceptance of indeterminate outcomes that rely on process, emphasis on activating potential futures, catalyzing environments. All of these points are really derived from my study right now of contemporary landscape urbanism research. They are talking about all of these issues. And they are searching for kind of more theory and more methodologies. They're trying different tactics to be engaged in this practice that's more about instigating relationships that can afford these interesting potentials. But it's still kind of blurry, under-theorized, and I think there's room for development yet. Again, also from landscape urbanism, there's this interest now in moving past what things look like and more trying to understand what they do, how they perform. Just wondering, how's my time going? Because I feel like I'm still fairly close to the beginning. But, and I don't have a watch with me. It's not
20 now.
Okay, 20 now? So again, I just want to show you quickly another project that I was involved in, because I thought it's nice as well, if I'm introducing myself and my work, for you to know a little bit about the kind of projects that I've been engaged with. This was a competition entry for the renovation for the Port of Valencia. And so you see a surface plan, and there are some, you can see some houses, some buildings, and some green space, believe it or not, although it doesn't look like it on this slide, but there's really green space over here. But the surface plan in this case is not really what's interesting for us as people in competition. It is a systemic plan that's of interest to us. So really, the surface forms are not important. It's how they're performing that's important to us. So this is really more of an infrastructural diagram about flows and processes on the site that we were interested in. And this is another slide that's just talking about what those flows and processes are. So it just situates my work a little bit. So my research premise is that complexity theory provides a new methodology that can help us understand the built fabric's performative characteristics, how and why something should be there, and thereby makes correspondences to its physical manifestations, and what and where do you do things. So for an example, we might say that as a performative feature, in a complex system, if something can mutate easily and evolve, this is healthy within the functioning of a complex system, regardless of biological system or human system, language system. And so then if we take that into what does that mean for a physical, the built fabric, we can say, well, a small grain of city fabric maybe helps facilitate mutation. We can think of, I think we can all think of examples of where this occurs in some traditional fabrics. I was talking with Stephen the other day about the Grand Bazaar in Istanbul and how you get these small shops and they mutate over time and gradually districts emerge. Gold merchants are here, leather merchants are there, and no one is telling them how many gold merchants should be in a particular area or what these adjacencies can be, but because of the small grain, you have this sort of self-organization over time. Okay. So, my interest then becomes looking at the principles from complexity theory and trying to draw parallels in terms of spatial aspects. So, if I'm interested in flows in the city, what can I learn from information theory that informs that? And all of these information theory, attractiveness, hierarchy, etc., this is all from the research in complex adaptive systems thinking. There are a lot of different branches looking at different kind of structure. So what can we learn about nodes by studying how attractor states work? What can we learn about the spatial grid by understanding more from network theory? What can we learn about the grain of the city and how good city grain might operate in terms of performatively what that does for giving kind of certain traits, Asian traits. And hierarchy theory might help us understand how different scales of the city interweave together in a relational way. Is this clear? Actually, yeah. So, and this is really kind of an earlier slide, but I somehow wanted to say it twice. I don't know why. So these spatial aspects, probably because I'm still trying to get it into my head. What is it exactly that I'm interested in? These spatial aspects, they have morphological, topological qualities. And I think that different physical characteristics of the city afford different kinds of performative characteristics. And so I would like to get at the physical characteristics that afford the best performative characteristics. And I can't understand that unless I understand better what performative characteristics am I looking for. And I think this is where complexity theory offers me something. So a landmark has a physical form, but it's also playing a performative role within the system. And how do we start looking less at the physical form and more at the performative role? And particularly for me, coming from North America, where new urbanism is this wonderful, wonderful thing, and you think, okay, so this is really how we're designing places here now, where it is, you develop rules of form, and you say, well, we'll put a landmark here, we'll put a gateway there, we'll put these, I believe, very often, they are robbing these physical things of any of their performative characteristics. So you see the slide image, and you say, oh, well, these beautiful arches I want to go through, maybe, but is that really performing? Is there a pattern of flow that moves through there in any way or not? I suspect not. I suspect it's there as sort of a stage set. And is this plaza really at a junction within a network where there are many spatial hierarchies that want to come together to form an important node here in the way that the internet really does form performative nodes? I'm suspicious of this. So as opposed to developing rules of form, my interest is in